I'm Millie Williams, and at 48, I thought I had life mostly figured out. I live in a quiet Ohio town where the hum of cicadas fills summer evenings and folks wave at neighbors like it's still the old days. For years, I've poured my heart into my job as an HR manager at a pharmaceutical distribution center. It's not glamorous, but it's steady. And for someone like me, who grew up bouncing between foster homes, study is everything. I clawed my way to this life, earning respect from colleagues who call me the glue of our team. I never imagined a routine doctor's visit for my husband, Logan, would unravel everything I'd built. One morning, I sat in the waiting room of our regional hospital, flipping through a dog-eared magazine while Logan met with Dr. Ellen Smith. He'd been off for months, listless, quiet, barely eating, and I was desperate for answers. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead and the smell of antiseptic clung to the air. I figured we'd get a tweak to his meds, maybe a referral to a specialist. But when a nurse tapped my shoulder and said, "Mrs. Williams, the doctor needs you," my slogan act twisted. Something in her tight smile told me this wasn't about Logan's prescription. Dr. Smith's office was small, cluttered with medical charts and a wilting plant on the window sill. She was in her late 50s with gray, streaked hair pulled into a neat bun and eyes that carried both kindness and steel. "Millie," she said, leaning forward, "you need to protect yourself from Logan." Her words hit like a slap. Protect myself? From Logan? My husband? The man I'd vowed to stand by through sickness and health. Her grave expression silenced my protests before they could form. "There's something you need to know about his past," she said, her voice low, "and I'm not sure he's being honest with you now." My heart pounded, a wave of panic drowning out the hospital's background noise. What could she possibly mean? Let me back up. 4 years ago, I was single, content with my routine of long workdays and quiet evenings with a good book. Growing up in foster care taught me to rely on myself to build a life where no one could pull the rug out from under me. My job at the distribution center was my pride, managing peril, resolving disputes, and keeping the team running smoothly. My boss, Mark, was a widower who'd become a friend over late-night coffee runs during crunch times. He'd tease me about my single status, saying things like, "Millie, you going to make me the last bachelor standing?" I'd laugh it off, but deep down, I craved companionship. That's when I joined a matchmaking service, hoping to find someone to share my life with. Enter Logan, a warehouse worker, with a crooked smile and a quiet charm that drew me in. He was 52, a bit older, divorced, and like me, not interested in kids. We clicked over shared dreams of simple things, weekend drives, cozy dinners, growing old together. Courtship was private, just us stealing moments over coffee or walks in the park. When we married at the county courthouse, signing papers in a room that smelled of old carpet, I felt like I'd won the lottery. No big ceremony, no fuss, just us promising forever. Mark congratulated me when I told him, though I caught a flicker of something in his eyes. Maybe loneliness, maybe surprise. I didn't dwell on it. I was too busy dreaming of my future with Logan. Life as newlyweds was simple at first. I kept working, commuting from our new home in a rural pocket outside town. We shared my beat-up sedan, a practical choice, since Logan didn't own a car. I loved my job too much to quit. Even when Logan teased me about being a workaholic, my days were filled with spreadsheets and team meetings while Logan worked shifts at a local warehouse. He'd always been steady, the kind of guy who didn't say much, but made you feel safe. Or so I thought. That morning in Dr. Smith's office, her warning echoed in my head. Protect myself from what? Logan was sick, not dangerous. Or was he? My mind raced, replaying her words about his path. I thought of the man I'd married, the one who held my hand during late night talks, who'd laughed at my terrible cooking. Could he really be hiding something? As I left her office, my legs felt like jelly. The hospital's sterile halls closing in around me. Didn't know it then, but that moment was the first crack in the life I'd built, and everything I thought I knew about Logan was about to shatter. About a year into our marriage, I started noticing changes in Logan. It was subtle at first, like a shadow creeping across a sunny day. He'd always been quiet, but now he was distant, staring into space. Over breakfast, his coffee growing cold. He'd forget small things, mixing up salt for sugar, wearing mismatched socks. Tease him gently, hoping to spark a smile, but his eyes stayed dull like he was somewhere else. At home, the silence grew heavy, and I'd find myself talking to fill the void, rambling about work or the weather. It felt like I was living alone, even with him right there. Pushed down my worry for weeks, telling myself it was just a rough patch. But when Logan stopped eating his favorite meatloaf and started skipping shifts at the warehouse, I knew something was wrong. One evening, I found him sitting on our porch, staring at the fields beyond our yard, his hands trembling. Logan, I said softly, we need to get you help. He nodded, barely meeting my eyes, and I felt a pang of helplessness. Watching someone you love slip away without knowing why is like trying to hold water in your hands. It just keeps spilling through. I booked an appointment at a local clinic that specialized in mental health. The doctor, a kind woman with a clipboard full of questions, diagnosed Logan with depression after a few sessions. The word hit me like a stone. I knew a little about depression. Colleagues had whispered about it, and I'd read pamphlets. But hearing it applied to Logan made my world dim. The doctor explained it wasn't just sadness. It was a fog that could swallow someone whole. She prescribed meds and suggested therapy, but finding the root cause was key. Problem was, we couldn't pin it down. Logan's job at the warehouse was steady. No major changes. Our marriage. I thought we were happy, but doubt crept. Then, was I the problem? Logan's condition only got worse. He'd spend days in bed, complaining of headaches, his frame thinning as his appetite vanished. He quit his job, unable to keep up, and the guilt in his eyes broke my heart. I'm dragging you down, Millie, he'd whisper. I'd squeeze his hand, telling him I could handle the bills, that my job was enough. But the truth, I was terrified. I'd lie awake at night, listening to his uneven breathing. Heart raced as I drove to pick him up, fear gnawing at me. Work became my refuge, a place where I could pretend things were normal. My boss, Mark, noticed I was fraying. One afternoon he slid an energy drink across my desk, his eyes soft with concern. You're carrying too much, Millie, he said. We're in this together, you know. His words hit me hard, and I blinked back tears, realizing how much I'd been bottling up. I threw myself into work, managing schedules and soothing disgruntled employees. Anything to keep my mind off the growing distance between me and Logan. Then things got stranger. One morning, I stepped outside to find our car gone from the driveway. I checked the garage, the street, nothing. Logan swore he hadn't touched it, saying he'd seen it when he got home from a walk the day before. The doctor had suggested light exercise to lift his mood, so he'd Been wandering the neighborhood, but the car disappearing overnight. It didn't add up. I took the bus to work, arriving late and frazzled. Mark was understanding, but puzzled. You think Logan took it? He asked. I shook my head. Logan hadn't driven since his diagnosis, too unsteady to trust himself behind the wheel. Still, a seed of doubt took root. A few days later, another blow hit. I stopped by the bank to withdraw cash and found my personal account empty. Zero. My heart sank as I checked our joint account, also drained. We've been saving for a new roof. Every penny scraped together. Logan had access to the joint account but not my personal one. How could this happen? At home, I confronted him, my voice shaking. Logan, do you know anything about this? He looked confused, his gaze drifting to the ceiling. No idea. Millie, he mumbled. His detachment felt off, like he was hiding something. But with his depression, I didn't want to push too hard, afraid I'd make things worse. I reported the car theft to the police, filing a report with a sinking feeling it wouldn't turn up. The missing money was harder to explain. Without family to lean on, foster care left me. Without that safety net, I felt alone. The weight of our life pressing down. My suspicions about Logan grew, but I couldn't reconcile them with the man I married. Was he really capable of this? Or was I just paranoid, seeing shadows where there were none? The uncertainty nodded at me, setting the stage for a truth I wasn't ready to face. The losses piled up. Our car, our savings, my trust, and I felt like I was drowning. The local clinic couldn't do more for Logan, so they referred us to a regional hospital with better resources. One morning, we took a taxi to the hospital, a sprawling building with a crowded lobby that smelled of coffee and antiseptic. Logan was quiet, staring out the window, lost in his thoughts. Clutched the referral letter, my nerves frayed from weeks of worry. I hoped this visit would bring answers, maybe a new treatment to pull Logan out of his fog. After an hour in the waiting room, a nurse called Logan in for his consultation. I settled into a plastic chair, pulling out a paperback to distract myself. Barely a page in, the nurse returned. Mrs. Williams, Dr. Smith needs to speak with you. My heart skipped a beat. I followed her down a fluorescent lit hallway to a small office where Dr. Smith waited. Her gray, streaked hair and calm demeanor should have been reassuring, but her serious expression set me on edge. Is this about Logan's depression? I asked, sitting down. She nodded, then leaned forward, her voice low. Millie, I need to be straight with you. I recognized Logan the moment he walked in. I treated him years ago in the ER for a deep cut on his leg. He's not who you think he is. My mind spun. A cut? I knew Logan had a scar on his right leg, jagged and faded, but he brushed it off as an old accident. Dr. Smith's next words hit like a freight train. Logan was arrested for fraud a decade ago. He swindled his ex-wife, stole her money and valuables. He even faked dementia to manipulate her, to make her let her guard down. Paused, watching my reaction. I suspect he's doing something similar now with his depression. I froze, my breath catching. Fake dementia swindled his ex-wife. The room felt too small, the air too thick. You're saying he's pretending to be depressed? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Dr. Smith nodded. His SP Logans don't add up. I've seen depression and this feels calculated. That scar on his leg came from a fight with his ex-wife when she confronted him about the theft. Was there stitching him up? Her words painted a picture of a man I didn't know. A con artist, not the broken soul I'd been caring for. I stumbled out of her office, my mind reeling. Logan, a fraud, the man who'd held my hand through late-night talks, who promised me forever. But the scar, the missing car, the drained accounts, it all started to click. Dr. Smith's warning lit a fire in me. I couldn't just sit back and hope for the best. I needed proof. Back home, I ordered a set of small surveillance cameras online, the kind you hide in plain sight. I felt like a character in a bad thriller, but desperation drove me. I installed them around our house, in the living room, near the front door, even in our bedroom. 4 days, I went to work, acted normal, and checked the footage each night, my heart pounding. Logan seemed the same, listless, quiet, but I wasn't buying it anymore. A week later, I hit paired. The footage showed Logan slipping out of the house with my favorite watch and a leather bag I'd kept in our closet. He returned hours later, a wad of cash in his hand, a smug grin on his face. That grin, it wasn't the Logan I knew, weighed down by depression. It was someone else, someone cunning. My slogan act churned as I watched him stash the cash in a drawer, glancing around like he knew he was getting away with something. I checked the footage from the day our car vanished. Sure enough, Logan drove it away while I was at work, returning on foot. The truth crashed over me like a wave. Logan had stolen our car, drained our accounts, and sold my things, all while playing the victim. Every late-night worry, every tear I'd shed for him was a lie. He'd used my compassion against me, banking on my trust to cover his tracks. The betrayal cut deeper than anything I'd ever felt, sharper than the loneliness of my foster care days. I sat in the dark, the footage looping on my laptop, tears streaming down my face. How could I have been so blind? But anger followed the hurt, hot and fierce. I wasn't the naive in my heart, but it also lit a fire under me. I couldn't let Logan's lies define me. I spent the next day at work, my mind racing as I planned my next steps. I called in sick the following morning, telling Mark I needed personal time. He didn't cry, just said, "Take care of yourself, Millie. I'm here if you need me." His kindness almost broke me, but I pushed it aside. I had a mission. At home, I gathered the evidence, the camera footage, bank statements showing the drained accounts, and a list of missing items, including my watch and bag. I drove to the county courthouse, my hands gripping the steering wheel of a rental car. Filing for divorce felt like cutting off a limb, but I filled out the papers with steady hands, each signature a step toward freedom. Logan had betrayed me, and I wasn't going to let him walk away unscathed. Next, I headed to the police station, a squat brick building in the heart of town. The officer at the desk, a gruff man named Jenkins, raised an eyebrow when I explained the situation. "You're saying your husband stole your car and money?" he asked, skepticism in his voice. I slid my laptop across the counter and played the footage. His eyes widened as he watched Logan sneak out with my belongings, that smug grin plastered on his face. "All right," Jenkins said, scribbling notes. "We'll look into it." I gave them everything. Pawn shop receipts. I tracked down the cars, van number, and Dr. Smith's statement about Logan's past. The police found our sedan at a used car lot on the edge of town, sold by Logan under a fake name. The pawn shop confirmed he'd sold my watch and bag, matching the timestamps on my footage. When they dug into his record, Logan's fraud conviction from a decade ago surfaced. tying him to the same pattern of deceit. The evidence was ironclad. That afternoon, I returned home with 2 officers in tow. Logan was on the couch, flipping through a magazine, looking every bit the depressed husband. When he saw the police, his face palled. "Millie, what's this?" he asked, his voice shaky. I held up the divorce papers, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. "It's over, Logan. I know what you did." The officers stepped forward, one reading his rights, while the other cuffed him. "Thomas, you're under arrest for fraud and theft." Logan's mask slipped. He protested, claiming his depression made him not himself. But I wasn't buying. "You faked it all," I said, my voice sharp. "The car, the money, my trust. You used me." For the first time I saw fear in his eyes, not the calculated calm-eyed, mistaken for illness. The officers let him out, and I stood in our quiet living room, the weight of his betrayal settling like dust. I'd loved him, cared for him, and he turned it into a weapon. But I wasn't broken. I was angry, and that anger gave me strength. As the police car pulled away, I felt a strange mix of relief and sorrow. Relief that Logan couldn't hurt me anymore. Sorrow for the life I'd thought we'd have. Trusted him, built a future in my mind, and he'd torn it apart. But standing there, divorce papers in hand, I knew I'd done the right thing. I wasn't just Millie, the foster kid who'd fought for stability. I was Millie, the woman who fought for justice. Months later, the divorce was finalized. The process dragged, tangled up in Logan's legal mess. But when the judge's gavel fell, I felt a weight lift. Logan faced jail, time, his second fraud conviction, sealing his fate. I didn't attend his hearings. I couldn't bear to see him again. Instead, I focused on rebuilding. Piece by piece, my savings were gone. The car a memory, but I had my job, my home, and a stubborn spark of hope that refused to die. Work became my lifeline. Again, I threw myself into projects, staying late to revise employee handbooks or mediate disputes. My colleagues rallied around me, offering coffee runs and quiet support. Mark, especially, was a rock. He'd check in with a gentle, "You holding up, Millie?" And I'd nod, grateful for his steady presence. But the loneliness crept in at night when the house was too quiet, and I'd wonder if I'd ever trust again. I waited so long to find love, only to have it turned to ash. The thought of starting over felt daunting, like standing at the edge of a cliff. One afternoon, I was eating lunch in the break room. A turkey sandwich, nothing fancy. When Mark slid into the chair across from me, his usual store-bought hot dog in hand. "You know," he said, his tone casual but deliberate, "I think you'd do just fine with someone like me." I nearly choked on my sandwich. Mark, with his kind eyes and quiet humor, had always been a friend, nothing more. But the way he looked at me now, steady and sincere, made my heart skip. "I'm serious, Millie," he added, a small smile tugging at his lips. "You're stronger than you know." I was speechless, my sandwich forgotten. Mark stood, gave me a nod, and headed back to his office, leaving me with a whirlwind of thoughts. A romantic relationship with Mark. I'd never considered it. He was my boss, my friend, the guy who brought me energy drinks during my darkest days. But as I sat there, the idea took root. Mark was steady, kind, someone who'd seen me at my worst and still believed in me. For the first time in months, I felt a flicker of excitement, like a door opening to a new possibility. That evening, I stood in my kitchen, staring at the phone. My heart raced as I thought about texting Mark, Maybe asking him to grab dinner. The idea of stepping into something new was terrifying, but it also felt right. I spent years building a life on my own, and Logan's betrayal hadn't broken me. It had shown me how strong I was. Maybe this was my chance to start fresh, to build something real with someone who valued me. I typed out a message. Hey, Mark, you free for dinner this weekend? My thumb hovered over the send button, nerves buzzing. Then I hit it, a smile breaking through. Whatever came next, I was ready. I'd faced betrayal, uncovered lies, and come out stronger. This was my story, and I was writing the next chapter. To everyone who's followed my journey, thank you. You've walked with me through heartbreak, deception, and the fight to take back my life. If my story hit you, stirred something in your soul, hit that subscribe button and join us. Every scar tells a story of survival. Every step a chance for a new beginning. Keep fighting for your truth. And I'll meet you at the table where we rebuild one brave choice at a